This video is brought to you by my brand new course, 1 Week in Paris. Join me as a fly on the wall as I shoot with 6 fantastic Parisian models in 6 great locations. You join us for the entire shooting process, completely uncensored and presented in multicam 4K. You can see details in my link tree below. Aaron just flew away from the camera like a little bird. Hi folks, hope you're doing well. Living in Hong Kong has some real pluses and some downsides. Sometimes being excluded from what's going on in the States makes it really difficult, but being so close to the manufacturing hub here in Asia has its benefits. So I just saw that Megadap were going to soon be releasing a new version of the ETZ Pro adapter. E to Z meaning Sony E-mount lenses going onto Nikon Z mount bodies. I think it's the Pro Plus edition. So I just wrote to them. I'm guessing they're just north of the border in Shenzhen or somewhere, because they replied in a few hours, and a day and a half later this package arrived. So I'm gonna open it up, do a first little setup with it, and basically as I'm doing it, have a chit chat with you. Keep this nice and informal, but off the bat, I would love to hear from you guys what you would like me to see testing with this, because I'm shooting with 3 models over the next 3 days, and we're gonna have some spare time in different settings to shoot different things, so I'll try it out. Also, fortunately, my little birdie here, Aaron, is a Sony shooter, so he has a variety of different lenses, native and third-party E-mount lenses that we can try it out. So, packaging. E to Z Pro Plus. Now, I have to say, you know, Sony, there's a real advantage to a product like this. Not sponsored, not paid, no relationship with them, not saying you should buy one. I haven't touched it, tested it, anything yet. But the real advantage of something like this is, if you're a Nikon Z shooter, we have a lovely big lens mount with a really shallow flange distance, which means you can adapt practically any lens to this because it's such a shallow flange distance. If you don't know what that means, to be able to adapt one lens to a different brand's body, you need an adapter that's exactly the difference in size. That is the distance between basically the flange and the sensor mount. So it might be, if I'm making these numbers up, if Sony is 9mm and Nikon is 4mm, then you need an exactly 5mm adapter that will let it then get infinity focus and everything work. But these ones also give you pass-through on the terminals that allows them to autofocus. So the great thing about that is, whilst Nikon have, I love the cameras, they were late to the game, they have fewer third-party options, and Sony has really allowed a lot of brands to get in on the game, so they have so many options, and that means, well, it's bad if you're trying to sell, but if you're trying to buy used E-mount glass, there's so many options out there and so many people selling it that you can really get some bargains. We were just talking about that the other day. So if I wanted to get, I don't know, like for example, where is it? I'm filming with it right now, but my 51-2 for Nikon is like this big, whereas Sony's is this big. And this would potentially let me use that Sony lens on this camera, or third-party Sigma, Tamron, Samyang, whatever, Viltrox case. So that's great. And it would also be great because often brands bring out lenses in E-mount first because it's a bigger market, and then if I want to review it, I either have to get in a Sony camera, because I don't own one, or I need to loan one or whatever. This would potentially, at least in terms of image quality, would let me get the E-mount lens and then test it out on my Nikon body. It's not a perfect scenario, but it would let me try things earlier. So you can see there it attached to the body. Okay, so that's got the terminals and everything there. The downside of this is, like we just saw with the firmware version 3.0 from Nikon, which by the way we did a whole video on and we run through it in the Nikon setup guide. You can see both of those below. Firmware updates can brick things. So if I were relying on this Viltrox 35mm f1.2 for a wedding tomorrow, and then I updated to the latest firmware, it could suddenly disable the adapter or the lens or something. We found that even with like Sigma, well, a bunch of different lenses, especially some Tamron lenses, they just suddenly weren't autofocusing on this new firmware. So keep in mind, if you're using any adapter things, to be careful before updating, read the forums and check if it does disable things. And to be fair, I should be updating the firmware, I will, before I do the proper test, be updating the firmware on the adapter to the latest version and the lenses to the latest version, because they all have often brought out updates for their lenses. So let's see as we turn this guy on. Well, it seems to be working just fine. Going to photo mode. Yeah, it doesn't seem blisteringly fast, but it is autofocusing on the Viltrox 12 on the Nikon Z9. So let's take this lens off and let's try the new case 85mm lens. If you haven't seen this one, I just put a video live on this like a day or two ago. Great little lens, 85 1.4. I only personally have it in E-mount. This would potentially let me use it on my Nikons. And I have that on manual. Okay, this one is not up to date for the firmware and everything, so I'll update everything before testing them out properly. I will also, as we chat now, check it out on the Z8. The reason that this kind of thing is cool, apart from the obvious, is that, you know, for example, I'm putting live at the moment my new 1 week in Paris course, where in that I was shooting with a couple of different cameras and different lenses at different times for different looks, to be able to get some, you know, more, basically it gives you more options. You can try out more things, get more different looks, and at times when you really want the autofocus, do you reckon this is going to work? There we go. You can still take advantage of it. So that would have been really handy in some situations to be able to use, you know, more of the lenses. Actually, the 35-1.2 would have really come in handy at some situations. Now, no, this one, the case is not updated yet either. To be honest, this is the one that's more likely to have issues because it's the Z8 that just had the firmware update. But the Viltrox running the old firmware is working well, and if anything, it looks like it's actually autofocusing quicker on the Z8 than the Z9. Very anecdotal, sitting at my desk findings. So, having said all that, what are you shooting with? Do you use adapted lenses? Would a product like this be of interest to you? Are there E-mount lenses that you're interested in that you want to get access to? And please let me know, what specifically would you like to see me test with these guys? They're basically going to be portrait tests, but Aaron is a bit of a lens hoarder, so if you have a particular lens, E-mount lens that you want me to test out, let me know and we'll do our best to include it in the upcoming proper review of this adapter. If you haven't already, you can check out below details of my 1 week in Paris course. It's a really great one. I can't show you very much here because it's intended for a mature audience. You can see full details in my link tree. You can also see Patreon, which we'll be shooting with Hannah and Felicia for over the next couple of days. That you'll get to see that content over there as well. Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.